What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Got another Week 5 preview prediction video coming out for you today, and we're going back to the SEC. A huge matchup in the SEC East in Lexington, Kentucky. The undefeated Kentucky Wildcats play host to the 22nd ranked Florida Gators. Should be a fun one here from Lexington. We're going to dive into it in just a little bit. But you guys know the drill. Got to take care of some business first. I just want to thank you guys for the support the channel has seen as of late. Let's continue to ramp up that support this college football season. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that you guys can help me support this channel. Hey, you guys are doing one of them right now just by watching the video. And you guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys may be willing and or able to do to help me support this channel. Whatever you guys do means a lot to me. So enough about the business side. Let's dive on in to college football, right? That's why you guys are all here. Florida at Kentucky, pretty substantial matchup here. I know it's not a top 25 matchup, but it kind of has that feel, rivalry game. Both of these teams have not necessarily played their best football up to this point, in my personal opinion. Of course, Florida already has a loss on their slate, and Kentucky just hasn't played that great of opponents and has really struggled at times. So this will be definitely a very interesting matchup to watch here from Lexington. We're going to go ahead and dive on into the stats that both of these teams have put up so far this season. And as per usual, we are going to start with the visiting team, and that is the Florida Gators. Offensively, this is the team that so far has done some pretty nice things. Offensively, I'd like to see them get a little bit better on third downs, and I'd like to see them protect their quarterback more. Their quarterback being Graham Mertz, of course, the former Wisconsin Badger. 951 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Definitely playing a lot better. It feels like he's playing a lot better than he did when he was in a Wisconsin Badger uniform. Changes scenery. Might just be what Graham Mertz needed. But guys, even though they are throwing the ball a lot better statistically than they are running the ball. Guys, this is a very, very good rushing attack. They are led by two really, really good backs. Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson are both back there, both of them over 200 yards. They have been really, really good for the Gators so far this season, both of them averaging more than 4.5 yards per carry. Montrell Johnson 4.6 and Trevor Etienne 6.7. They both have around the same amount of carry, so you got to be able to plan for both of them here on the offensive end. And again, Graham Mertz only has 1 interception. That was something that really plagued him in a Wisconsin uniform, was he would turn the ball over. Hasn't been super prevalent this year. The offense only has 4 turnovers, so only around 1 per game there. And this is a Florida team that, in general, while it still looked sloppy at times, has generally played pretty well. But the thing that you should be impressed with Florida is that defense. That defense has stepped up in major ways here. They are phenomenal up front on the line of scrimmage, and it may not show in the sack department. Only 7 sacks on the year. Not as great as some of the other teams that we have previewed here, but they're still able to generate pressure. They're still able to generate quarterback hurries. And where the defensive line comes in really key is that rush defense, only allowing teams to gain 82.3 yards per game on the ground, only 245 yards in total. They are only allowing teams to score 13.5 points per game. This is the defense that has been criticized for a long, long time here, and it's really taken a big step up. They're also really, really good on third down. The secondary doesn't really have a lot of turnovers, but they do have 10 passes defended so far on the season. It's a defense that, in general, has 200 total tackles already this year. So playing really, really well. The 7 sacks are distributed between a lot of guys, so the pressure can really come from anywhere. But generally, this Gator defense looks a lot better than it has in years past. So now let's transition over to the Kentucky Wildcats. Not a ranked team yet. They could be if they happen to get past Florida this week, and you'll find out my prediction later. But they are still undefeated. Now, the caliber of opponents they have played so far this year have not been fantastic, and it's really been a team that at times has struggled. So when you take a look offensively here, Devin Leary is the new quarterback, and while he has had some really, really good moments, he's had some not great moments as well. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards, 1,060 to be exact, but that does come with its caveats, right? And before I mention the downside, he does have 9 touchdowns on the year, so he's playing pretty well there. However, only a 59% completion percentage. We know Devin Leary can get higher than that, and he's thrown 5 picks. You want to see a veteran quarterback like that really be able to cut back on the interception number, especially in this game, because Florida's going to make you throw a lot of throws that you don't want to make. And this is a very questionable Kentucky offensive line. And I know that's like, Nate, they've only allowed 4 sacks this year. Why are they questionable? If you've just watched the way that they played, they haven't really given Devin Leary all the time in the world, especially against some of these opponents that you should be able to handle pretty easily. However, when you take a look at other aspects of this Kentucky team, the run game is really, really good. The Vanderbilt transfer in Ray Davis is running really, really well. Juton McClain has 18 carries for 114 yards. He's been involved here and there as well. So this has been a pretty solid Kentucky offense so far. Just clean up on some things, especially those turnovers and those interceptions from Devin Leary. Pretty good on third down. And the defense can definitely improve on third down, yes, but they're forcing takeaways, they're generating sacks, and they're not letting teams score. 15.5 points per game is all they are allowing, under 300 yards per game. And much like the Florida Gators, Kentucky's really, really good up front in terms of their rush defense, and they're able to generate a little bit more pressure, albeit they have faced lesser competition than what the Florida Gators have faced so far this year. Again, the Gators already have games like Utah and Tennessee under their belt, so those are very, very nice tests for Florida. Kentucky really feels like they have yet to piece everything together. Now, Florida probably has felt like that as well here too, even throughout times during that Tennessee game, right? But when you take a look at this Kentucky defense here, still really, really good up front. They're forcing turnovers. Want to see them be a little bit better on third down and be a little bit more disciplined at times there as well. Leads me into my keys for the game, what to watch for, just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you are tuning into this one. We're going to start with the 22nd ranked Gators, as they are the road team. Stay efficient and stay on schedule offensively. That is an offensive key for the Florida Gators. Look, I did not mention this when I talked about Florida before, but there are some guys in this wide receiver room that are really starting to emerge. Of course, you have Ricky Parasol, who's going to be really, really good. He has 362 yards in the touchdown already on the season. But Wilson, Douglas, Burke, some of those guys are really starting to come along and starting to play really, really well. Even Odom, that tight end there as well. This wide receiver room is still going to be led by Parasol all the way through, but stay efficient, stay on schedule. Get the ground game going with Etienne and Johnson, and then let Graham Mertz be efficient and do what he has to do in the times that he has to throw the ball. He has 108 pass attempts this year, 77% completion percentage. Keep that efficiency going in this game. Now, I've talked about it before. Even though Kentucky's only allowed 4 sacks this year, the offensive line has still been questionable, and this is the Gator defensive front that, while it hasn't done the best job at bringing the quarterback down so far in terms of what they have on the stat sheet in terms of sacks, they generate hurries, they generate pressures, and they're going to get pressure through this offensive line to Devin Leary. The Kentucky offensive line will have to step up in a big way. But you look at that final key there, and I've said it before, the Gators really, either of these teams, you could say this about, really feels like they have yet to put a complete performance together. And at times, the Gators have just looked sloppy. They looked sloppy in the game against Utah. And even last week, yeah, they got the win, but it wasn't always pretty when they faced a Charlotte team that by many metrics is just not that great of a football team when you compare them to the Florida Gators, right? So this is definitely a team that's going to have to clean up some of that play, much like Kentucky. So we will go to the bottom bullet point there in just a little bit. But let's talk about these first two first for the Kentucky Wildcats. Give Devin Leary the protection he needs. Devin Leary is the better quarterback in this matchup. He is better than Graham Mertz. And I think even though he has had interception problems, he's proven that this year, and he's proven it in the past as well. So the offensive line, much like I've talked about earlier, needs to step up, needs to give Leary protection to be able to throw the football and hit some deep shots down the field here, right? There are a lot of very talented wide receivers in this Kentucky room, probably the most talented pass catching room they've had in a long time, if not ever. Make Florida pay for their inconsistencies, not only offensively, but defensively, especially talking about defensively for the Kentucky Wildcats, right? Again, it's a Florida team that will play really well at times, and then it'll have some miscues. Make them pay for the miscues. Force turnovers, right? Force the takeaways, generate negative plays, make Florida feel uncomfortable. But again, this is a Kentucky team that feels like it, again, has yet to have a complete performance. And given the level of opponent that they have played, they're going to need to flip a switch here, and some things are going to have to change here in this game. But when I look at this matchup, I see two very, very evenly matched teams. That's what Vegas thinks as well, as Kentucky is the 1-point favorite and the slight favorite according to the FPI right now, right? Look, this is going to be a phenomenal game to watch. Can't wait to tune into this one. It's a noon game on ESPN. I just feel like the team with the better quarterback, which you heard me say earlier, I believe is Devin Leary. I believe they are going to come out on top. And with the way that both of these teams' inconsistencies have really just kind of ebbed and flowed so far this season, I feel like both teams may have a game where they play their best football yet. And I feel like Kentucky at their best will be better than Florida at their best, and Kentucky will walk away with a huge home victory, probably vault into the top 25 there as well. So that's my thoughts on this game. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.